Hey everybody, welcome back. The next Agent Orange report is for a game that was developed by Rocksteady Studios, published by Eidos Interactive, and based on properties created, owned, and developed by DC Comics and Warner Brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, Batman: Arkham Asylum. I played it on the Xbox 360, but it's also available on the PS3 and the PC. This game is rated T for teen for alcohol and tobacco use, blood, mild language, suggestive themes, and violence. The game starts off with you, the Caped Crusader, bringing a previously escaped and now recaptured Joker back to Arkham Asylum, home to Gotham's most dangerous and insane criminals. While readmitting the crazy clown for rehabilitation and during a really slick introductory sequence, we find that this whole scenario is in fact a trap set up by the Joker and his ever-faithful abused codependent Harley Quinn. When finally sprung, it becomes apparent that the trap is the environment itself. Having successfully locked Batman and others in and cutting them off from the outside world, the Joker then releases the prison population, and you get to find out firsthand what really happens when the lunatics run the asylum. I'm not a big fan of spoilers, so I'll keep the story segment of my review short, and probably will for all of my reviews. But I think it's fair to tell those who have actually read the Arkham Asylum graphic novel that this game really only follows that narrative on premise and tone alone. While the stories share some similarities, they are different. Keeping that in mind, I found myself really enjoying the story, and it was a really fun ride to take. I guess first I've got to say I love the look of this game. It's dark, cold, and beautiful. It looks just like a Batman game should look. The environments are amazing, especially when you take into account that you are stuck on an island on one estate. The courtyards and seaside sets are crawling with details into different kinds of foliage and rock faces. It even changes as the game goes on and certain events take place. The exteriors of the buildings would all blend perfectly into a horror movie. They are old and dilapidated, and you get the sense that if they existed anywhere in the real world, they would be the house on your block that the neighborhood kids would avoid, especially on Halloween. The interiors are handled with just as much attention to detail. To say that Arkham Asylum is a labyrinth would be a huge understatement. You'll go from its rooftops to its sewers and everywhere in between, all the while every foot reflecting the madness that makes its home there. It's dirty and chaotic in some places, but sterile and orderly in others. Some areas have a very modern, if not slightly futuristic feel to them, while others resemble haunted houses or Gothic cathedrals. You know you have a fascinating environment to explore when even the air ducts have some subtle details and surprises thrown in here and there. You can really tell this development team took a lot of pride in their work and had a ton of passion for this IP, and nowhere else is this so obvious as it is with the character models. Every character, Batman, Commissioner Gordon, the Joker, and so many others who make appearances have been redesigned. They all still look like you would expect them to, but everyone has been hyper-stylized. The only big exception to this would be Harley Quinn, who looks as if she's been totally redesigned from the ground up. I'll admit at first I didn't really like her new look, but by the end of the game it had totally grown on me. My only real complaint graphically would have to be the generic look-alike goons that make up the inmate population and the majority of your combatants. It seems like there are only about 10 models, and 6 of these look so much alike that it's hard to tell them apart. Sure, they're really just the game's equivalent of cannon fodder, but some more variety would have been nice. So yeah, the game is pretty, even if every game developed with the Unreal Engine kind of looks the same and the engine itself is starting to show its age a little. What really puts this game over the top as far as feeling like a true part of the Batman universe is the sound. I can't think of another game that has used sound so effectively as far as making itself feel familiar and recognizable. It really goes a long way to help with player immersion. One of the first things you're going to recognize in Arkham Asylum is the voices. Rocksteady, in a stroke of genius, had the 3 main characters voiced by actors who are no strangers to their roles. In fact, they've been voicing these characters for years. You've got Kevin Conroy voicing the Dark Knight himself, then Mark Hamill as the Joker, and last but certainly not least you have Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn. These 3 actors have been voicing these characters for years and will be immediately identifiable to anyone who's been a fan of DC's animated TV series or movies. And for a fanboy like me who thinks that Mark Hamill is the greatest Joker of all time, that Kevin Conroy is basically just Bruce Wayne in a different disguise, and that Arlene Sorkin's Harley Quinn voice makes me feel funny in my pants, this is a wonderful treat. Now, I'm not sure if there are any other actors returning to specific roles in Arkham Asylum, but the rest of the cast puts on an amazing performance as well. And it's a huge cast. To have every performance be as high quality as this really is a feat, and it should not go unnoticed or unappreciated. The music in this game does the same thing as the voice acting as far as making you feel like you are in familiar territory, and in a very good way. The score to Batman Arkham Asylum is an original work. However, many of the tracks are reminiscent of the scores to the newest Batman films, and I doubt very much this is just a coincidence. In fact, it's a brilliant move in that it really does ratchet up the tension and excitement at just the right times, and it breeds a familiarity that strengthens immersion. The combat system is handled in two very distinct but equally enjoyable ways. You've got a stealth-based predatory system where Batman hides in the shadows, stalking the Joker's henchmen and escaped inmates and taking them down one at a time. With every takedown, the remaining baddies get more and more scared, causing them to group up, which makes them a little harder to isolate and take out. Or, if they are already isolated, they slowly degrade into a panic mode, which makes them careless and jumpy and easy pickings. And I gotta say, it feels pretty badass to instill that kind of fear in someone packing an assault rifle. The second form of combat is full-out bat balls to the wall scrapping, where you are basically locked in a room with a bunch of goons who are all swarming you at the same time. It's fast, chaotic, and visceral. Batman flows perfectly from sweeps to flying kicks to counter punches and even some sweet close-up slow-motion finishing moves. Needless to say, when you've been smacking fools around for 5 minutes and finally get to stop to catch your breath and realize you've probably just taken down 30 bad guys single-handed, you really start to feel like a superhero. The exploration aspect is great. Arkham is massive and full of nooks and crannies. There are false walls, floor grates, and air ducts that conceal secrets to the history of both Arkham Asylum and to the inmates now housed there. You can glide through the open courtyards, rappel up the sides of buildings, run around on rooftops, and zipline through the catacombs under the island itself. There's a great amount of variety and it's constantly changing. Sometimes as quickly as walking through a doorway, and sometimes so subtly you don't even realize it's happened until you take a second to look around. Batman Arkham Asylum has no online gameplay, but makes up for it in the form of downloadable content and a slew of challenge modes, which range between things like how quickly you can clear out a room of bad guys to how many combo points you can accrue in a series of fights. And for all you completionists out there is plenty of reason to play the campaign over again. The Asylum itself is littered with things to collect, like records of patient interviews, guide stones that reveal the dark, tragic history of the estate itself, statues hidden in riddles riddled by the Riddler himself, and some of this stuff unlocks even more stuff. Seriously, there's a lot of stuff. So have fun with your OCD. That being said though, I did feel like the campaign was over a bit too quickly. I think I finished it in under 5 hours. Okay, I've rambled on long enough, let's wrap this up. The positive things offered by Batman Arkham Asylum are beautiful, crisp, detailed graphics, diverse gameplay styles, visceral, action-packed combat, intriguing storyline, and the best voice cast ever. And the negatives. Well, there's no online gameplay, and it's over way too soon. So when all is said and done, ladies and gentlemen, when I look at Batman Arkham Asylum, I not only see an amazing game, I see the greatest superhero game ever made. It does for Batman in video games what Christopher Nolan did for Batman in film. And that gets it a very well-deserved A+. Well, that's that, folks. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I hope we'll see you back real soon. Feel free to click on the like and subscribe buttons, and if you have any comments or suggestions on how I can make the show any better or games you'd like me to review, please let me know. Until next time, have fun with whatever you're playing. See ya!